like me and my
Here we
crazy
go. We're
lefty
live.
friends.
We're back, and of course we're out of control because we got Mike on. Mike,
There we
welcome
go.
to the Freedom.
Thank you so much.
How you doing? Good to have you here. Jim's here. I'm here. Mike's here. You're here. All right. So like they say, what do you want to talk about? All right. So Mike, let's first start with this. Let's give people a little bit of a history. Last time you guys were on, I don't know how much history we got on you, but who are you? Where are you from? And how'd you wind up in this crazy town we call Northbridge?
Sure. I moved here in 2013 to go a little bit further back than that. Originally, I'm from Providence, Rhode Island, a little neighborhood called Mount Pleasant. I went to Glassville High School, moved to New York, went to Averill Park High School there, then the University of Albany, dropped out of college, came back home to Rhode Island, went in the Marines, which was probably the dumbest or the smartest thing I did from there. After that, I came home, got a family, got a job, got bored, got divorced, got another family, another job, moved here in 2013, bought a building in town a year later. I do own and operate a business at 101 Church Street. It's actually where the NCTV used to be, I found out just today. And
wow.
Interestingly enough, yeah, I thought that was pretty neat. Mm-hmm. And I help Caitlin Gannon run CBC Real Estate. We own it together. We own the building together. And I try to get into trouble when I can.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. So I know that in town you've been you've splashed on the scene. Let's call it that. Can
Sure.
we call it that?
Sure.
You know, that's a good thing, right? You've splashed on the scene.
Almost like
here.
it was on purpose.
You might think you had a plan. What are you doing in town? I mean, I see about groups and stuff like that. What's going on?
Sure. The person that I owe the most thanks to is Elizabeth Habersky. Without her, I wouldn't be sitting in this seat right now. Elizabeth took me under her wing with a Better Northbridge. We worked together on the school lunch program, challenges, which Aramark was taking children's lunches and dumping them out and giving them cheese sandwiches if they didn't have enough money on their card. With Elizabeth's help and my help and donations to include a pretty substantial donation from West End Creamery. Thank you so much. We're gonna take care of that ourselves. We're gonna take it away from the government. We're gonna pay the bill, and the kids are just gonna get their lunch. And if they don't have the money, we're gonna pay for it.
And that's something Elizabeth is doing, right? I see that she's got a GoFundMe out there.
Yes, she's running the GoFundMe.
Yeah. So, and this was something that was became, I guess, an ABN project.
Yeah.
ABN is A Better Northbridge. It's a local group in town. Very effective. They've done a lot of stuff. They've done a lot of stuff.
Right near my house, Corporal Dorson's Memorial. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
They've just done a lot. Now, you did say one thing where they had the practice of taking lunches and throwing them away. Was it a practice of doing that, or did that just happen one or two times?
No, it was a practice. To be clear to this, there was a lot of research done before I opened my mouth to verify exactly what would happen. A child would walk through the lunch line with a tray. At which point they would enter their card, which is very similar to a debit card. And if there was not enough money to pay for their lunch, they would be signaled to C by Aramark. They would signal the line. The tray would be taken and dumped in the trash. The child would be humiliated in front of all their peers and students. How does that make sense at all? And whoever's idea this was, whoever okayed this, we're still looking into it, and we're going to find out. I'm not Robert Mueller, but I promise you I'm not letting up on this until I find out who ultimately was the person that okayed this, because someone did.
So is this something
Oh, yeah,
that...
the lunch lady herself's not going to do that.
Of course, and she's afraid to lose her job. I don't blame the lunch lady. I don't blame the people working, fighting to
Why
keep a
don't you,
$15
though?
an hour
Why
job.
don't you? I
Because
mean,
they
well-
need their money just as bad, and I don't blame them for being afraid of losing their job.
I don't know. I get it. You got to eat. You got to feed the family and all that kind of stuff. But if you said to me, okay, tomorrow when I was at work, Gary, you're going to have this job. You want to keep it. You're going to take this kid's lunch, throw it away, and give him a cheese sandwich. I'm going to be honest with you. I'd be polishing up the old resume. If not on the spot, then I would certainly go home and look for work elsewhere.
Right.
Just my opinion.
Well, we don't know that they weren't looking.
Sure.
And they probably
It's
are. I'm
getting
sure
harder
they're a
to find
very
a job
nice
every
person.
day
Oh,
in
I'm sure they're
America.
very
It
nice
really
people.
is.
And that's what it is. You see, with this political stuff, nice people wind up doing the bidding of other people.
Exactly.
And then they get called out. So it's not fair to call the poor lunch lady out, I guess. But I'm
But I
just saying that
It's
to
still
me,
questionable ethically to do
Right.
that. Like a different person might have just walked off the lunch line,
Yeah.
and it's okay to say that. So I'm with you to a point, Gary.
you
Or
know.
I might have slid the kid through until I got caught doing it and suffer the consequences.
And
if I
sometimes
got
that
caught
was
doing it.
happening
Right.
from the superintendent,
be-
who was very
That's
helpful
where
with
I
this.
guess-
Definitely.
I know
Yeah.
that. I was evaluating it as I heard the story.
So what would I do, and how much trouble will I get in? So this is something that's pretty interesting locally, and I wonder if it's happening in your town as well. If you're
Right.
not from Northbridge, that would be very interesting. Who's in the house right now? Is that Alan? Is that Alan I see in the house? Oh, that's fantastic, Alan. We'll get you in here in a few minutes. Alan, stuck in terrible traffic. We'll find out though. We'll get your traffic report in a few minutes,
There
I
you go.
think. Yeah. So I just want to dig in a little bit just to this, and then maybe touch on one or two other things. So you have a group that's doing things in town that you want to have in town,
Yes.
right? And I saw your information that was posted out there. You want to have, volunteers, form a structure, all that kind of stuff. Now you've overlapped here. I see with Elizabeth.
Yes.
So how does that work? Who? All right, I'm a viewer right now. All right,
Yes.
and in your opinion, and I don't know, maybe Elizabeth has an opinion too. I
Sure.
guess I should ask you, Elizabeth, if you have an opinion. How do we? What's the order of operations here? What's happening with it?
Sure. Elizabeth Habersky is still completely running a better Northbridge, and I'm there to serve her in any way I can. But with everything that I've seen, starting our new Northbridge was incredibly important to me. I spoke with my business partners on the companies that I own, asked them for 100 days to put this together. They all said it was okay. So here I am for the next 99 days. I'm going to be working on setting up our new Northbridge as a not-for-profit in town, focused on collectivism and understanding that it's not your town. If you were born here, God bless you. But it's not just your town. There's a lot of us that have moved here. It is also our town. So that the motto is, it's not your town, it's our town. Not to take it away from people that were born here, but to understand there's probably more people that weren't born here than were now. And it's time to have that conversation. It happened in Providence, probably within the last 20 years, where I'm from. Providence is now a over 60% Hispanic city. It was not like that when I was a kid. And I remember the people that fought it, and history is not kind to people that fight change.
So let me ask you a question. Yours, ours, right? I just jot that down. To me, that sounds a little divisive, but I get what you're saying, because you're saying that it's not yours, meaning this person's. It's ours, meaning this person's, but yours as well.
Exactly.
Is that where I'm at?
Yes,
Is that a good
collectivism. The
understanding?
essence of collectivism is it's
Collectivism.
everybody's, and
These
we all
isms.
have to.
Isms get me nervous sometimes,
It's okay.
but that's
It's
all right.
okay.
All right, I'm here.
It's like the way that you get so high and holy on the Constitution. I look at
I
it
do.
as marriage vows. You make your marriage vows, but then you have to trudge through life every day. And
Yeah, you
being a
do.
constitutionalist is like trying to say, well, I'm living up to the day that I got married. If anybody on watching this show is married, the day you got married and where you are now probably look radically different. It's
They
a fair
do.
thing to talk
For
about.
me, they look good. I'm happy where I am. I really am. I mean, I got to be honest with you, right? I mean, people that know me know I'm a pretty happy.
But living up to your
you know what I
vows,
mean?
I mean, living up to the things you intend upon
Yeah.
versus the actual part and practice of living life are not always perfectly aligned.
All right, so here's what I got. I got a real hopeful, legitimate candidate for the Senate, right? And I know we want to sit and talk local all night, and I want to get him in here. So I'm going to try to take a break, slide him in. We can stay local because I'm sure Alan has got all kinds of opinions on anything we want to ask him. But he's running against Elizabeth Warren.
Okay, great.
I don't know how you feel about Elizabeth Warren.
Mixed.
Are you a
Mixed.
for? Are you an against?
As someone who was in the mortgage business for a long time, I don't agree with everything Elizabeth has said related to
I was
financial
hoping you were going to
services.
bring that up, but
That now being said, I feel like she's
Good.
got a great heart. The same way myself locally, again, and Elizabeth Habersky. We don't agree on a ton of stuff, but I know her heart's in the right place. And if the opportunity became available, I'd recommend she'd be the next town manager.
Well,
that's,
you know, but
that's
is-
the thing. You don't have
and
to agree
that's
with somebody
fine.
to respect them.
That's
I
fine.
respect
No.
you. We agree on almost nothing.
but
I respect
Elizabeth,
the hell out
I
of
mean,
you.
yeah, I would be fine with that if she wanted to go and do that. I'd support it 100%. But I just don't. My issue is with Elizabeth is that she thinks that not Elizabeth Habersky,
Yes.
but Elizabeth Warren. Watch how much trouble I can get
Yeah,
myself
right.
in
I'm
here.
like-
In
I'm
3
thinking,
minutes.
are
In
you
3
talking about
minutes, I
Elizabeth?
can get. What she did with her brother,
Yes.
okay, it not only was funny business that you were alluding to, but it was also on the backs of the very people that she says she's so trying to protect. I mean, these are people whose houses were being foreclosed upon. And instead of writing laws, I guess, and trying to help them, she was right there to deal with the bank, get you out, do a nice high interest loan with her brother, and resell the thing. And to me, that's disgusting. I mean,
You're absolutely right. You're
well,
absolutely right.
I don't even know if it's disgusting. What I do know is that it's against what she says she stands for. So but I don't want to have this conversation without Alan. I can't have this conversation without Alan. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a break. I hope you guys, you got something that's just maybe a minute or two long, just so we can slide Alan in.
I saw one.
You saw a thumbs up. All right, we will be right back on the Freedom Network right after this.
Executive order gets rescinded. One good thing
You'll rescind that one too?
one good thing
You'll
about
rescind the Dream Act executive
you're gonna
order,
have to.
the DACA.
We have to make a whole new set of standards. And when people come in, they have
So
to
you're
come
gonna split
in
up families.
Chuck,
You're gonna deport children.
Chuck, no, we're gonna keep the families together. We have to keep the families together.
But you're gonna keep
But
them
they have
together
to
out?
go. But they have to go.
What if they have no place to go?
We will work with them. They have to go. Chuck,
And
we either have a country or we don't have a country.
The
Either we
cost
have
of
a
doing
country
this,
or not.
how do you do it?
The cost of doing it. Look at the cost of what we have right now.
The cost of doing it.
Let me ask you this: do you think
I understand that, but how do you do it?
Do you think there's tremendous cost for the illegals that are in here right now?
Of course there's cost to
Okay,
it.
tremendous. Do you think there's tremendous crime being committed by illegals?
There's definitely evidence that it's happened. There's some
Tremendous,
heinous
far
crime.
greater
There've been
than
some
what they
heinous
do.
ones.
And you see it all over just last night. All over. We will do it, and we will expedite it so people can come back in.
It's still not clear.
Chuck, it'll work out so well. You will be so happy. In 4 years, you're going to be interviewing me, and you're going to say, what a great job you've done, President Trump.
Psych.
All right, and we are back on the Freedom Network. Joined us. Jim's out. He's out. He's in the control room. God only knows whatever you see on the screen. Don't blame the station staff here at NCTV. But here's Alan back on the Freedom Network.
Always good to be
A
here,
repeat
Gary.
offender. A repeat offender.
Repeat.
A multi.
Come back to do it
Repeat
again.
offender, right?
That's right.
It's great. So anyway, I'm really excited, and I think that it's fantastic that we've got somebody that is like, because you know me, I don't like the party system. So, and you learn that real quick about me. I'm just not into it. And to have somebody that comes in, lifetime, maybe not lifetime, maybe a long time Republican, that can't get any traction, that the party's saying, hey, we've already made our decision. You don't get to play in our game. Couldn't get that traction that he wanted. Said, you know what, I'm going to go, to the other side. Let me go talk to the Democrats.
That's right. That's right.
And what'd they tell you?
Oh man, that was a closed shop there.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Because I was a conservative Democrat. I was a blue dog Democrat.
Right.
That's like a rock in the Democratic Party today.
Yeah, you can't do
You can't be conservative in a socialist leaning party these days.
No.
You know, you
So
can't. 6 weeks. I did 6 weeks of time there.
6
It was
weeks of
like,
time?
It was like going away on probation.
I
or
remember
something.
you emailing me or messaging me and texting me or whichever way it came
yeah,
through.
that's right.
And telling me this, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, he's gone to the dark side. He's right. You know, I'm like,
I
I
went
can't.
to-
Let's see what kind of traction
I
you
went
get
to the dark side to bring him some light.
to bring him some light, but they blow the light out. Anyway, what are you doing now?
Well,
This
you
is
know-
interesting, folks.
I'm an independent candidate, non-party independent.
Woo!
I went back to the Republican Party after a 6-week stint in the Democrats,
Yes.
running as a Republican.
Yes.
And what I see here is I saw something on the internet that really attracted me. It was called the centristproject.org. They've changed their names to Unite America. It's an independent movement and not a party. I give them $10 a month because what they're trying to do is support viable independent candidates from big races like U.S. Senate and governors right down to town councils and city councils. So it's a movement that continues to grow. And you know what? The country's polarized, right?
Yes.
Right?
Way too
And we
polarized.
need more centrists. So I like to coin myself as I'm naturally conservative, Gary, but I'm a centrist by intent because we have to move the country from its extremes to move America forward. And the duopoly between the Democrats and the Republicans, there's just too many things that aren't going wrong with the two-party system. People want choices. I'm a choice.
There you go. There you go. What do you think?
I think the idea of centrism returning is great. Not since Bill Clinton have we seen people that have real moderate feelings get stuff done.
Good.
Yeah, well, Bill Clinton was actually a very conservative governor.
He did
Don't
more to
forget.
take apart welfare than
Absolutely.
anybody in our time.
I mean, he was a
Well,
conservative
he had a
governor.
heavy hand. 3 strikes, you're out.
Yeah.
He put a lot of people away
He
during the
did.
crack epidemic, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Same people vote for Democrats too, don't they?
It's amazing, isn't it, how that works?
They still ain't getting any traction, are they?
No, they aren't.
No,
Well, that's
they're
been
not.
one of the cornerstones of some of the discussions that I've seen you have out there, and I think that they're very compelling. Where you talk about, people voting for people to get something that they're not getting, but yet they continue to vote for it.
How can you vote for the same party for 50 or 60 years and still be at the bottom of the socio-economic ladder, right? I'm a native of Providence, Rhode Island. Democrats. When you look at blacks and Latinos in Providence, Rhode Island, down. I'm a Massachusetts resident trying to be one of the highest offices in the land, a U.S. Senator. What do we have? Blacks, Latinos, and others, they're still at the bottom voting the same way. They don't have to become Republicans, but they got to change the way that they operate because they're not getting anywhere giving away their vote and not expecting any dividends back.
What do you think? I want to give you plenty of opportunity. You
Sure.
want to chime in
Please,
on anything?
yeah.
I don't want, because we'll just talk for an hour. And
There's never been a better time to vote on individuals than on party lines. People today are forced more and more to make tough decisions at home. Why not make easy decisions at the ballot box? If things stink where you live, fire everyone. Don't look at anything other than re-elect or elect and fire people. I own businesses. If things don't run right, I blow people out, and I'm very straightforward about it. And at the same time, I donate money. I take care of people. There's a huge place in my heart for single moms and kids because I'm the son of a single mom. But at the same time, when things don't work, I can be very cold and get stuff done. And I think our government needs that now more than ever, locally and nationally.
so, how do you? What party are you in?
I'm a Democrat.
We're all coming clean. We're all coming clean.
I am
here,
a
Mike,
very
so-
liberal person. I do
Okay.
have somewhat conservative financial views. I
Okay.
do think the idea of taking the country to 200% debt over GDP is how we end up like Japan. And we're on a quick track with that, much quicker with the current administration than we were in the past. And these are challenges that you really have to look at. Money matters. Eventually, we end up in such debt that the interest takes us over and we become like Western Europe.
So
and
how
at
do
the
you-
same time, you have to look at, we have
How do
people in
you-
need.
How do you reconcile then the fact that I don't know if you were a pro or anti-Obama?
Sure. I think Obama was one of the best presidents this country has ever seen and
Okay.
broke through barriers like no president before.
Well, he definitely broke some barriers, in my opinion. But I'll let you jump in here, Alan, in a minute.
That's right,
But,
okay.
but when you talk about money being important, how do you reconcile adding all the debt that he added to us?
I have a great story for that. So if we went out to dinner, you and I,
Story time.
and I really got all tuned up,
Okay.
and then the bill came, and I was like, hey, man, you got this, right? That's still my bill, right? From 2000 to 2008, we had 2 wars on 2 fronts, full wars. And I say that as a veteran myself. We had to socialize the banks at the end of the president before Obama's second term. If you remember, the most liberal thing to ever happen under American watch from a financial standpoint happened under George W. Bush. That's a painful reality if anybody would like to debate it with me. From there, Obama turned the country around. Things are pretty great right now. And you know what? The person in power gets some of the credit. But I look at like the infrastructure that was put in. Banks run better now. And I don't agree with all the decisions that were made. I especially don't agree with some of the stuff Elizabeth Warren did to take apart small businesses like your friendly neighborhood mortgage broker. But things are pretty good right now, and people who helped should get credit. You want Trump to get credit on Korea? Great. I want Obama to get credit on the economy.
All right, Alan, go ahead.
Obama, first of all, the economic progress after the bottoming out of the economy in 2008 and 2009, we really had a tepid response. That's because the Democrats and liberal forces with the Dodd-Frank, they made the situation in banking too tight. That meant that the small local banks, the regional banks, couldn't do what they were supposed to do, which is loan money to the local and the small businesses. And we really didn't take off the way that we should. And two, when you look at the first black president, what an honor. I'm a black man, born black, raised black, always been black, and never had to come back. So I want to tell you this. The most important thing is that he really didn't do all that we probably expected in the black community, but you know what? He gets a pass because what an honor. But all of that said is, in order to keep this economy going, Now we did need perhaps a more conservative hand to lower the interest rates, reduce some of the needless regulations that we had that clamped down on the economy from growing. Of course, now I'm an independent now, so I'm not a Republican, but I'm not a Democrat. And when you talk about Congress, that's a whole different story. We're talking about presidents. Now, there's very little difference between establishment Republicans and establishment Democrats in Congress, except the team colors, the mascots, who gets the welfare, and what team can outspend the other. They just signed an omnibus bill together, adding another $1.5 trillion to an already $20 trillion debt in this country. It's shameful the way that the establishment works, regardless of which way you vote. We need to change that, and that's why we need viable independence to give people other options. That's what people are looking for today.
You know, it's interesting. You hit on a lot of good topics there. I can't get past $1 trillion for it could have been worse. That doesn't fly with me. Like I've been saying on Facebook about this whole building the school thing.
The airplane we built for $1 trillion that
there's
the
200
Department of
different-
Defense built cost just as much as this $1 trillion that you're bringing up.
And
How
I
come you're
have-
not mad at the airplane?
Well, how do you know I'm not?
Okay, well then tell me about how
Well,
the airplane
how
is
do you
any
know
better
I'm
or
not?
worse.
It's not any better or worse. The reality is, I'm going to agree with Alan. We talk locally that we gotta, you gotta pay your bills, you gotta do that kind
Sure.
of stuff, right? So, I mean, we don't have the money to do so much of what we do, but what we do is we just continue to spend it. So Obama spent $1 billion or $1 trillion, and the best answer I can get from it is it could have been worse. Now I could go and say, hey, we have a plane, we have this. Bill Clinton, we had a great time with that, $10 million hammer, $10,000 hammer, whatever it was. Obama didn't fix any of that. He didn't fix any of that.
That stuff is systemic. It's fair to say that's
But you know what?
systemic.
Somebody's got to buck the system, Mike. Somebody's got to
You need
stand up.
leadership. You
You
need
want to
leadership
tell
in
me about
America.
a great leader. You're going to tell me not about someone that spent $1 trillion. And the best thing that anybody can tell me is it could have been worse. So, I mean,
Well, here, let me close with this, and only because you identified as an African American man, and I salute you for doing that. And the challenges we face as a country right now have very much to do with race and gender. More important than that, having the opportunity to say this as someone who lives with a great deal of white privilege, was Jackie Robinson the greatest baseball player ever? Or even the greatest African American baseball player ever? No, he took a leap out, and I think that someone like former President Obama should be saluted for taking a courageous step forward, not only with himself, with his wife and 2 daughters, to try to make change. And no man or woman is perfect, but give credit where credit is due. You want someone like me to step forward and say, yes, the Korea thing, if not Pompeo, you have to give some credit to Trump. You have to give credit where credit's due. Pompeo, China, Trump, that stuff adds up to things get done. It's great. But you got to start doing it both ways and say, you know what? President Obama is the Jackie Robinson of American presidents and deserves all of our respect, not just the people who voted for him.
Well, he can deserve respect, but take away the color of his skin, and what we have is a liberal, progressive president that is more interested in globalism than the fact that we're a very unique nation in this land, the United States of America. And what's important to me is this: America is number one, and it's okay to feel that way. And we must protect the American people. We must protect our American culture and values, and we must continue to grow this economy, because that's the only way we can regrow the middle class, because it's shrunk, and these are the most important things. And we have leaders like Elizabeth Warren who want to be perhaps the next president. I don't see that as, because she's just so far left. As I go out and meet and have my nomination paper signed, I need 10,000 signatures by
can have
July
mine right now,
31st.
bud.
Thank you. I brought my paperwork in. And
hope so.
what's most important is this, is that I don't hear her talking about economic growth. I don't hear that the fact that African Americans and minorities are getting back to work and we have low job numbers. And you know what? We need more in Massachusetts, and we need more in America than just the regular establishment hacks that just continue to go on and on. That's why we need term limits. That's why we need campaign finance reform. It just goes on and on.
Term limits,
We need-
definitely.
We all agree on term
Definitely
limits. All
huge.
three people
I
up
think
here
everybody
agree
agree on that.
All three of us
See,
agree on term
I
limits.
guess my issue when you start talking about Obama is that the first thing is that it's the excuse of what he inherited, and then we have a good economy, and we want to say that that's really because of him. So it's like an excuse and an excuse. But during the 8 years, man, that he was in there, let's just face it. All right, when I was younger, if you want to talk about, pick anything, pick something controversial, race relations.
Sure.
When I was younger, to me, there were less racial things in my life than there were in the 8 years that Obama was president. Now, you could argue, did he shed light on them? Did he bring them to the top?
Yeah.
Absolutely,
You
positively.
could certainly
maybe.
argue that pretty effectively,
I-
too.
I think you could make a decent argument for it, but you still can't look at each and every issue through the guise of race or the guise of you just can't do that, because at the end of the day, we're Americans. That's who we are.
Americans first.
Why would
Of
you
course.
allow yourself to even be divided on any kind of a
And we're dealing with that
line?
now with the Me Too movement, where more and more people are starting to say, we get it. And it's awesome to have this great opportunity to help so many people to step forward and say things have happened that aren't right. And sometimes it does get misused by people. And I think during the Obama administration, perhaps people used the same way I talked to you about fake patriotism. Sometimes movements get misused, and it's up to us as citizens, especially we're on the same side of fake patriotism or unfair calling of racism or anything like that. It's important, if you're on the side that's doing the wrong, it's more important for you to step forward than anybody else. If you're a conservative, for you to have the bravery to step forward and be like, look, Trump's really not a good president in the traditional conservative understandings of what it would take to be a great conservative president. He's not one. On the same token, it would be great for a liberal to step forward and say, yeah, Elizabeth Warren isn't the best and brightest we have going right now in the DNC. You know, it takes
So
that
are
kind
you-
of honesty
Are
to
you
really.
party loyal? I mean, are you going for
try to
whoever
be.
the
I try
Democrat's
to
going to be? So
I like
what is it?
loyalty. I
Why-
believe in loyalty.
But loyalty to where? Where is it? I mean, let's just look at it this way, right? Let's say from 1950, okay, all the way right now to 2018, we have had Republicans and Democrats in office. They have controlled the presidency. They've controlled both houses of Congress many different times over, sometimes with majorities, sometimes without majorities, okay? And where the hell are we? I mean, I gotta,
it's more of a
where are
fluid
we?
process. I
But
think
what
it's
is a
more of a-
flu? I don't see what is
Please.
fluidity. I don't understand.
It's a,
What
it's a
are we-
moving relationship.
But I don't
Things
want
change
a
and
moving
evolve in life.
relationship. I want a country where we're governed by a constitution and it means something.
The marriage vows story again. I think that can.
The Constitution, the Constitution is not a fluid instrument.
It's
I don't
not.
believe that.
But neither are marriage vows, are they?
The answer is, in what way?
You make marriage vows with great intentions,
Yes,
and they
you
are
do.
strong and powerful vows. And you actually have to live through being married to another person, don't you? I feel like the Constitution is a living, breathing instrument, the same way marriage vows are. Without an engaged population
I would have,
working on
I
it,
would have never compared living in America the Constitution.
you're married to your country. Are you not
vows.
married to your
No,
country?
I
You don't
would
think you're
not.
married to your country?
No, I would have to say. I mean, I wouldn't.
It takes work.
Yeah, it does. But one is a religious, really, at the reality. It's
Is
just
it?
it's a religious marriage is born from religion. It's then the government got involved by giving tax breaks and stuff. But the reality is the government should have really nothing to do with any religious practice, condoning it or not condoning it. But at the end of the day, I mean, I wouldn't really compare marriage to the Constitution.
Vows too.
Or vows, only because, and I guess at the heart of the matter is. A marriage is an agreement you make with somebody else. You live in a country where the agreement's been made. Now you can try to change it, you can not like it, but you don't have a whole lot of choice. You can't make America a socialist country without me saying, whoa, whoa, whoa. Not that you would, but whoa, back up the happy wagon. You're not allowed to do that. you
Sure.
know?
There are
I-
checks
I
and
would-
balances.
Right, I would,
There are
I would
checks
put
and
that out
balances.
there. I don't see where marriage is like that. To me, I feel at war with almost unconstitutionality. And I don't think that a marriage, and you've talked about it, they do dissolve, things happen, but it's not the Constitution. It's not at that. To me, it's not at that. My freedom is the most important thing to me and my son. That's
Of
number
course,
one.
yeah.
That's like number one. Man,
I can
you know?
understand that.
Well, what we do suffer from is we suffer from a certain corruption in the establishment.
That we can both agree
You know,
on. Definitely.
we as regular Americans, the regular folks, we don't have the control because the money that's influencing the lobbyists that are influencing the people that we elect means that we're not getting all that we can get. We're getting poor representation because of that. And so it doesn't matter whether you're Republican or Democrat, they both seem to slide into areas that say, well, you know what, who's ever giving them and funding their coffers, that's who's getting the most help and the most response. I can only say this. We have to try to change those things in order to get our America back for the common man and woman, because in a way, in some ways, we've lost a little bit of America, and we have to fight and get it back.
I think it absolutely has been lost. And see, I don't know if you agree that it's been lost, because you do seem to be wanting to continue it in the way that it's been going.
I do not want to live in an
You know what I
Orwellian
mean?
state, and some of the things Hillary Clinton says terrifies me. That
Well,
now said, a woman
absolutely.
president would be a huge breakthrough
But
for our
let me
country.
ask you a question. Would a woman president be more important than constitutionality?
No, the freedom that we live under here in America
Has to
is like
trump
no
it.
other. Having
Pardon
left the
the-
country, having left the country and served this country, I can tell you that the freedom we enjoy here is unlike any other, and it's not something we should take for granted.
Sure, and that was a perspective I was hoping I was going to get from Mesfin tonight, but he's at home watching sick. Guy's sick.
It's too bad. We hope he's
Yeah,
okay.
So we
hope
gotta
he's
get
okay.
him better, and
I
we'll
love
bring him
that
back
man.
in.
He's a good man.
I mean, we have just a short amount of time left, and I am going to take the full amount that I could possibly take here tonight. But let me ask you this question, Mike. You talked a lot about centrism, about coming together, and all that stuff, and then you talked a lot about how you're a faithful Democrat.
Sure.
And loyal, I think was the word you used.
Loyalty, not faith. Not faith. I don't
Right.
call it faithful. I
Okay,
say I'm
so you're
loyal.
loyal to the
I
Democrats.
give people, if they're
Why
a Democrat, I
would you
give
be
them
loyal
another
to the
chance to be
Democrats? Why wouldn't you say to a guy like Alan that's sitting here right now, you know, I'm a lifetime Democrat, but you said you have nomination papers, I want to sign them.
I would absolutely sign his papers. I think the whole
Oh.
idea is to let people fight it out. I've been
right.
doing that on the Facebook groups locally. To get back into local stuff, there have been more than a few people that have been unkind, to include the gentleman from 3 to 11 that told me to get out of town, to which I say absolutely not. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to stay right here
we
and
didn't
raise
even
my
touch
kids.
on some of that dramatic.
So to continue that statement,
I'll give you, let me give you 30
I would absolutely
seconds.
sign
Go
your
ahead.
papers, and I wish you all the best in your run.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And I'm going to need that. Hard work makes luck, and that's what I'm out doing. I was out getting signatures today
There you
at my
go.
local grocery store.
That's what you gotta do.
If I'm
You
not a
salute.
household
That's
name,
what
I'm
America's
becoming
about.
one by just
That's what America's
just get
about.
out and shake
I'm
hands.
going to tell you something. You know, Alan, he's beyond a candidate that I support. He's a friend of mine, and I want to really wish you a lot of luck, man. You got my
Thank you
signature.
very much. Absolutely.
I'll get more people. Maybe we can have a time where we can get some people from Northbridge together in one spot. Elizabeth, maybe you could help me.
I
and
think
let's
that's gonna help,
and
and
let's make
absolutely.
sure that this guy gets on the ballot.
Watersforsenate.com.
Watersforsenate.com.
Thank you.
Go for it. What's your email if anyone needs
Check me
it?
out, Mike@teamdutra.com.
Mike@teamdutra.com. Waters for Senate.
Yep, we need donations. We need volunteers to help get out the vote and get those signatures.
All right, so let's reconvene at another time and see where we can take the political discussion. But thank you so much. I'm going to give you one more
No,
thank you.
thank you.
And thank you for
Thank you,
being on the
Gary.
program, everybody. 3 on 11 comes up next, unless these two guys get in a fight before. We'll see you later, folks.
Because we are the brave. Yes, we are the brave. We'll fight you in